Dear reader, listener, we are at week 28. If you haven't, please subscribe to my channel. Also, if you're beginning this audio version of Todd on week 28, I would advise going back to listen to weeks 1 through 27 and the foreword and prologue. All of these are in order in the playlist and can be accessed on the YouTube channel Tot at Tot 2022. This character's journal will make much more sense if you start at her beginning. Thank you for reading, listening. Tot, week 28. Sunday, March 5th, 2017, 4 p.m. I am probably officially a bad person. Maybe. Did I use Pauline's need to be the constant source of know-it-alledness and need to be the center of all things school? Why, yes, I did. Did I know she would not only offer, but indeed be thrilled to take most of the grunt work on for my upcoming in-service? Again, yes, that was me. And did I have a few sentence starters that would be just too much for her to resist ready before we met today? Yep. It all worked better than I could have expected. She is now putting together my slide decks, creating the agendas, and drafting the email that we will send out telling about our in-service. But here's why I can't think that I'm all bad. She wanted to do all of it. And there's the fact that I pay dearly up front. I have to listen to endless stories about how great she is and how she has done everything anyone has ever done better than they ever thought about doing it. Of course, she does all of this in her humble brag style that I have come to know and love. Blech. So, sorry, not sorry. But we did have one interesting conversation in between her telling me how we would set up the slide decks and how long each segment would run. Did I mention she has no clue about debating, nor how long it might take to teach this unit to other adults? She asked me if I thought our school was an equitable school. I wasn't even sure what she was talking about, and I went on a mini rant about how English language arts has the lion's share of work because if kids can't read, they can't do any of the other learning in any area. You feel me, sister? But turns out she didn't feel me because she was talking about equity in terms of every student family getting what they need, taking into account the cultures they came from. And well, I had not thought that much about it. But my answer was a hard no. We do not account for culture, gender, background, race, language, or anything else that might be different here. We have in services where we discuss diversity, English as a second language, and differentiation. But that's it. Here's the information. Now go do something with it, or don't. And mostly, we don't. I felt a little embarrassed to admit this to Pauline. And in this area, she actually may know it all. I don't want to say that this was a waste of my day off because aligning myself with her likely will save me lots of time in the future that I would have had to use putting all this crap together by myself. The way it's looking, I'll only have to look a few things over and do the talking. Perfect. Monday, March 6th, 2017, 7 a.m. Nothing says Monday like it being your dead grandfather's birthday. Then talking to your living grandmother, who has nothing nice to say about the dearly departed. He departed 7 years ago, so one would think that would be enough time to let the sins of his life go. But my grandmother likes to keep the memory alive, the bad ones especially. I nearly stopped for a coffee and donut, but I dug deep. Saturday needs to have been a one-off. Instead, I opted for a lie and said my phone was dying because Paulo didn't charge it. Then I listened to NPR the rest of the way in. It was very relaxing. Still Monday, March 6th, 2017, 4 p.m. I was wrong. Nothing says Monday like getting a new student, a broken one that does not speak, with no reasonable explanation as to why. He comes with an IEP that says he doesn't talk and we don't know why, so we are giving him services. How does a kid get to be 13 years old and not speak with no explanation from anyone? When I asked Marie, the SPED teacher, WTF, just kidding, I didn't really say WTF, but I do think it would be funny to do that just once. Anyway, Marie stated that parents say it's only a problem in school. He talks at home. But this guy not only doesn't talk, He doesn't emote. His eyes are dead and he keeps his face expressionless. I know he hears me because he follows simple directions. I'm going to make him yes no cards tomorrow. So weird. Well, I've got plenty of students that I can't shut up. I guess one that never speaks could be a nice change. Maybe he'll teach the others how to be quiet. Now, in no way am I suggesting that Phil be quiet, but he did come to my room today to complain about his shop teacher. He simply has never gotten along with his teacher since sixth grade. Yet he has taken woodshop every year, including this one. If I didn't know better, I would think it was just to get under Pat Schaefer's skin. But he's pretty talented, as evidenced today when he brought me a pair of candle holders. They're quite beautiful. In addition to the candle holders, he told me about his mom's surgery and how he and his sister have been working together to make things easier for her. She has to use a walker right now to get around because she gets sudden headaches and dizzy spells if she moves very quickly. The walker slows her down and keeps her from falling if she does get dizzy. They also have to prepare all of her food. She has trouble remembering multi step processes and at this point can't prepare a meal. She can only do simple self care things. The doctors say she'll eventually regain all her abilities, but it will take time. Another reason they prepare all her meals is because she does not seem to be able to regulate her eating. She'll eat and eat if food is available, and also not eat if it's not available, for days if no one intervenes. Very weird. Thus, they have to make her meals and color code them so she knows what she can eat and how much. She also has to use timers so she knows when to eat. Phil takes all of this in stride. And he's just happy that he's able to help his mom. His sister being there seems to be helpful to him too. All I could think about was her visiting me at parent teacher conferences. And I know she would not want my pity. She would want me to be joyous that she is somehow still alive and rooting for the strength they will all need to get her back to fighting form. So that's what I will do. Tuesday, March 7th, 2017, 4 p.m. Woohoo! I'm going to a training and the district is paying for it. And I get a hotel because it's 2 days and it's 7 hours away. I just found out today. And it's next Monday and Tuesday. So that means I have a 3-day work week next week and then spring break. And Paulo and Mimi are coming with me. I cannot believe it. When Derek called me into his office to ask me, I just couldn't believe it. Perhaps this is my thank you gift for going through the performance improvement plan hell. He thinks I'm excited to be trained on how not to be a racist teacher. That's what he told me it's about. I'm excited to get a free mini break with my family. This is the equivalent of winning the teacher lottery. Thursday, March 9th, 2017, 6 a.m. My evening was so exciting last night, I am skipping the grandma phone call this morning just to unpack the events of yesterday with myself. So, I usually check my school mail in the main office first thing in the morning. Okay, sometimes I do this, but mostly I make Megan check it for me daily. But today I really did check it. No one is in the office at that time of day, and I can sort through things with no interruptions. But once in a while, I'm forced to check it at the end of the day if Megan is absent, which she was yesterday. Since our mailboxes are in the main office, which is the hub of all the action, this can be a tricky obstacle course. Run into the wrong person at the wrong time, and you can end up being voluntold to do any number of things. Avoidance is always best, but sometimes you can't avoid. Like when you get an email saying, since you're going on a mini break, the keys to your school vehicle and mileage chart are in your box. I'm not leaving that stuff in my box any longer than necessary. I do not want to wander all the school district parking lots trying to find a car my coworkers have hid from me. So, this is why I was in the office after school yesterday. I had already avoided Kim, our dragon lady of an office manager, and made it to my box. As I was sifting through the stack of junk mail Megan had let pile up, she was gone 2 days this week, I heard a door bang. Pauline came striding out of Anita's office with tears streaming. Anita rapidly followed her, and it looked as if the two were headed to Pauline's room. To be honest, I was relieved that something was keeping Pauline busy besides my upcoming in service, although I was curious what brought someone of her, I guess we'll call it determination, which is a lot less annoying sounding than she is, to tears. So imagine my surprise when she called me and told me exactly what had brought her to tears. Let's be clear. She and I are not friends. In fact, I know she does not like me. She thinks I'm apathetic and lazy. And she's not completely wrong about this. I think she's a control freak and a perfectionist, and she's more concerned with those things than educating kids. I also am not completely wrong about that. So any interaction outside of school is unexpected and unwelcome. She called me on my personal phone, while I was in my home with my child, trying to make rice and tuna salad for my and Mimi's dinner. The nerve of this woman. I feel it is important to note that Pauline's children are grown, and she and her husband live in a mansion compared to my apartment, and everything in her life is a hobby, which is likely why she thinks it's okay to contact peasants like me while we are working away, cooking, cleaning, and child rearing in the 4 freaking free hours we have to do so each day. Okay, so back to the nerve of her. She had a question for me. Did not even start with an apology. She wanted to know who asked me to go to the UIR training. I was not prepared for that question because I didn't know what she was talking about. And for a moment, I thought she'd either called the wrong number or lost her marbles. But for sure, she stumped me. And I hem-hawed around until we eventually figured out that she was talking about my upcoming mini break. Apparently, this was some organization that she had been working with, these people who undo racial institutionalism, which is what UIR stands for, Undoing Institutionalized Racism. I now know this because she emphatically told me it's don't be a racist teacher, like Derek said, which does make sense now that I think about it. Anyway, she had brought this opportunity to our school. She had brought this training to our door. Did I have any idea how difficult it was to get into one of these workshops? No, I didn't. Her voice inflection was a bipolar pendulum swinging from quiet monotone one moment to screeching hysteria the next. On and on she went, telling me about this opportunity that she had provided, where I was now the undeserving recipient. This was the only moment I disagreed with her. I do really, really deserve this mini break. And I somehow managed to feed myself and Mimi, wash the dishes, and get Mimi bathed while Pauline railed about the injustice that was her dear friend Anita, who had promised her that she would be leading the staff trainings on this. She and Anita were going to take our whole district in a new proactive direction for teaching methodology that reaches families and students of color. They had spent hours writing grants, and Pauline had contacted everyone she knew to get a place in this workshop. So why wasn't she going? I had to ask for a break here. I needed my Mimi snuggles, and then I had to put her to bed. I promised to Colleen back in an hour. The great thing about 2-year-olds is that you don't have to use a lot of cognitive processes to spend time with them. We can make the same 4 sounds with the same 4 farm animals for an hour, and she is content. And my mind is free to multitask and sort out other things, like why Pauline's opportunity had fallen into my lap. Without doing some investigative interrogations, I can only make some calculated assumptions. Anita had promised things she couldn't deliver. She had let Pauline have free reign in a building and district with sacred cows that neither of them knew anything about. While attacking racism in our school was much more noble and necessary than debate was, debate appealed more to our conservative white communities that elected our school officials, who hired our superintendents, who hired all of our district level supervisors, who swallowed the spider who ate the fly, yada, yada, yada. My best guess in this scenario was that Brian and Derek saw an opportunity to bundle debate, racism, and me, thus creating one point of contact and removing Anita and Pauline, both of whom no one liked. And it was in that thought that my mind strayed to why Anita was so unliked. Truly, she was no better or worse than most admin. It had to be because she was a female. She had likely thought having Pauline, an ally in our building, would be an asset to her. But when the good old boys of our district get together, all male except Anita, anything they decided over their weekly social get togethers trumped all else. When I really thought about it, I realized that Anita had been right in her observation during that horrible eval meeting. I did not respect her. Was that because she was female? Oh, no, I'm pretty sure I don't respect any of them. But I did know I could manipulate all the others. I mean, I could have reacted with her just like I did with Derek on the eval meetings and demands. But I didn't because I knew it wouldn't fly with her. So, how could I possibly tell Pauline? At the end of the day, she wasn't going because she's female and new and aligned with the wrong source of power. And I really did not like how that little nugget of truth made me look. When I called her back, she was calmer and perhaps drunk. This time she did apologize. She apologized for every shitty thing she has ever done to me. And none of it made me feel vindicated. It actually made me feel like a self righteous, self absorbed bitch. This job and all of it meant something to her that it didn't to me. It was her chosen life. She could not do enough. If they agreed to let her sleep in her room, she would be there. I don't want to say in that last phone call, Pauline and I became friends, but we certainly understand each other a lot better. We both know I don't deserve to go to this workshop, and I am going for all the wrong reasons. That has to be enough. Because make no mistake, I may be a bitch, but I don't feel bad enough about that to not go. Because I really do deserve this mini break. Friday, March 10th, 2016, 7 p.m. Jesus. Subplans are the absolute worst, especially when you have a new student who doesn't speak and a seventh hour class full of criminals in training. So that is what I have spent my evening doing. Paulo took vacation so we can leave tomorrow morning and get there a day early. This enabled me to stay late tonight and spend hours trying to make subplans for 2 days. Megan was a huge help today. She knows all my routines and helped me gather all the materials that would be needed for the 2 days that I'm gone. She created beautiful little piles for each hour and fastidiously paper clipped and stapled items that needed to stay together. You know, she would make a great teacher. I've mentioned this more than once to her and received the same chin tucked, eyes rolling, open mouthed, you're an idiot look combined with an exasperated sigh. I buy her a cherry limeade every Friday, and today she was drinking it through a straw hanging out of the side of her mouth as she worked. Somehow, she can talk while doing this too. She informed me that she wants to be a dancer when she gets older. I was pleased to get the opportunity to mirror the look she had just given me. We both know that she's saying this just so I will give her the you need to go to college before you become a stripper talk. But I've never actually acknowledged that she implies she wants to be a stripper because she really doesn't. At least I don't think she does. She just wants to know that I care enough to get pissed at the thought of her reducing herself to her body and that I want her to succeed. Her grammar is shit, spoken and written, but it's all an act. She is very smart, and she knows I know. I asked her to help the sub while I'm gone, and she wanted to know who it would be. Was it someone cool? Was it the hot Mr. Barnes? Thank God it's not. I really want to tell her that young, hot Mr. Barnes is actually not allowed to sub for the remainder of the school year because he apparently slept half his workday away in a fifth grade classroom a few weeks ago. I guess the kids felt this was a fantastic opportunity and were kind enough to let their tuckered out teacher sleep while they set up an elaborate watch system should anyone be interested in checking in on their class. It worked until it was time for their specialist, and the kids couldn't get themselves organized enough to get to the specialist on time. Let's just say there was fighting amongst the group, and the frustrated PE teacher, who despises anything that messes with her schedule, came to see what the holdup was. Imagine her surprise to find several fifth grade students having the quietest argument in the history of arguments, and a snoring Mr. Barnes slumped in a chair with his feet propped on another chair. Yep, no hot Mr. Barnes subbing around here for a while. I actually don't know who the sub is because the district assigned them and it hasn't even shown up in any of my tools yet. But Megan agrees that she will help me. She also wanted to know if I would make the other students start calling her Miss Lee, since she was now practically co-teaching the class with me. I shot a rubber band at her that barely missed her face, but did knock her straw out of the corner of her mouth. We nearly peed our pants from laughing.